thank you, Norman. Fantastic. Thank you, Norman Taylor. Okay, so are we all here? Yeah? Good. All right. Just trying to get all the attention. What would love? What would I love is the theme that we've been talking about for the whole month. What would I love? So today's our last talk in that series. So every week we have been focusing on an idea of living a love that we like and loving a life that we live. And we've done this in a variety of ways. And so today is the last talk in this series, and we're going to let the love shine forth. Okay? You ready to let your love shine forth?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Paying attention.
Enthusiastic. Yes. There will be questions afterwards.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
Because as we let our love shine forth, we not only experience a life of love, but we also attune ourselves to the divine love. See, we talk about the human love, but what we're really talking about today also is the divine love, the highest form of vibration there is, divine love, and attuning ourselves, the love within us, attuning it with that divine love, so that we know that this divine love, God itself, is in, through, as, and all around us. There is no place this omnipresent energy is not. And as we let it shine forth, we experience a different kind of life, because it is much more, we're going to get into compassion, it's much more compassionate for ourselves and for others. So I want to spend our time today looking at 3 ways that we can let the love shine forth. Charles Fillmore, if you're familiar with him, the founder of Unity with his wife Myrtle, in his book, Talks on Truth, wrote, "Love is in the world in a distilled form as affection between husband and wife, partners, parents and children, friends and friends, for friend and friend, but it can be made manifest in its original strength and purity by each man and woman's opening the fountainhead and letting its mighty current stream forth." So I love the idea behind that quote, that love can be made manifest in the world in its original strength, what we came in with, that power, that full love that knows no conditions, and this pure. It's pure, and we open the fountainhead and let its mighty currents stream forth. But the idea begs a question. How, in fact, then, do we open the fountainhead, and what does it even mean? So, we probably all have different perceptions of what a fountainhead of divine love is. And so some would say it's a lifetime of spiritual practice. It takes that for us to get to that point. Others would say we have to have a personal mystical experience of God's love before we can do that. And yet others might say we have to reach spiritual enlightenment, which I don't even know what that is, but reach spiritual enlightenment. Anyone here been enlightened fully? Raise your hand. Okay, good. I want to talk with you afterwards. Because I want to get some of that more, because I feel like we are always becoming more and more. Like there's no place that I have arrived and said, oh, this is it. It's like, no, there's much more to life. There's still more to me and to each and every one of us. That's the beauty and the excitement for me of this divine essence that we're all part of. Cannot be separated from it. This is a spirituality that teaches oneness. It teaches unity. And if you're in oneness and unity, you can't be separate from the source of all good. So I had to look up. All those things are correct, by the way, that I said before. Those are absolute ways. That's great. And yet, I believe that there is something that we can do right here, right now, today, to connect us in a conscious way, because we're always connected, but consciously, to know that we're connected. It is something we can do, and that is to suggest 3 tangible, practical ways to open the fountainhead. And let the purity and the strength of love's mighty currents that are streaming forth, let them forth in our lives. And just in case you want to know precisely, because I had to look this up on because I want to know precisely fountainhead. What does it mean exactly? You probably, most of you know what it means. We all have an idea of what it means. But I had to get my phone out and look up on my dictionary. And it's a fountain. A fountainhead is a fountain or a stream, or spring. A fountain or spring from which a stream flows. The head or source of a stream, a chief source of anything. A chief source of anything. So we know that there is one power, one light, one love, one presence, one energy, and that is the source of all that is, was, and ever shall be. This is what we teach. This is what we believe. This is what we come to know. And it's such a powerful knowing that we really connect with the source. So the fountainhead, God is the fountainhead of all that is. That is the divine, ultimate fountainhead. So there are 3 ways which were found. I found them in an article in the February 2014 Science of Mind magazine, and it's called Reviving the Heart of Humanity with a New CPR. And it's written by my Facebook friend, Reverend, I have a lot of minister Facebook friends. Reverend, you might have heard of him, Norman, and a few of you others. His name is Dennis Merritt Jones, okay? So he's in California, and this is what he wrote, and I thought it was really good. He said, mending the heart of humanity, and for our context it would be opening the fountainhead, sounds like a daunting task, but if we are willing to be proactive and act mindfully rather than react mindlessly, it can be revived. We must each become experts at administering spiritual CPR, love this, to every person with whom we cross paths on a daily basis, he writes. This includes our face-to-face encounters, both intentional and by chance, as well as the countless people we may connect with via the internet. Don't you have like a whole bunch of, if you're really into like the internet, like, we have like a whole community on the internet. It's like, it's really great. I think it's fabulous. I think it's wonderful. So we are now connecting. Look at how humanity has changed. I'm interrupting this, but look at how humanity has changed. That we now have, who would have thought 10 years ago, we would have these incredible friends all over the internet who are like people really care about you. It's really, it's just a new wave of consciousness evolving. And so as the next couple of generations and so come up, there's going to be even more of that. Let me get back to Dennis. As well as countless people, blah, blah, blah. Or see on television while watching the world news. Distance does not matter. We know this in treatment. Distance does not matter because we all share the same name, human beings. Isn't that great? Yeah. We all share the same name. Human beings, as Byron Katie would say, period. Period. That's it. End of story. And so we all share the same heart. So that's where the love part comes in. And I want to, we do all share the same heart. And we really do have time to practice, especially as we watch these wonderful political debates that are on TV. It's just, what a lesson. What a lesson. Appearances. Woo, yeah, blows your mind. But anyway, it gives us it's an opportunity to heal. And to extend love, even if you don't want to. So we must each become experts at administering spiritual CPR which we're going to find out what it is, when we cross these paths on a daily basis. And we must include ourselves in that mix. Because if we're not compassionate to ourselves, then, it makes no difference. You can't really, like we say, you can't give away what you don't have. Mm-hmm. So the compassion must begin at home in your own heart. So compassion is the first, if you didn't guess that, is the first part of that acronym CPR. So what exactly is compassion? And this is Jones's definition. Compassion is the capacity to imagine what it must feel like to live in another person's skin, and then take appropriate action to help alleviate suffering when possible. When you see there, but the grace of God, go I, or however you want to see that, and really feel with your heart what that person is going through and extend love. That's compassion. That's compassion. And that's a really good definition that Dennis Merritt Jones wrote there. But I believe that compassion really is innate in all of life, even though it doesn't look like that, and there's all different kinds of soul's purposes and all of that. So we can't really know. We judge. We all judge. I judge. I watch the TV and I judge, and then I go back to spiritual truth. I'm evolving. I'm evolving. I'm treating my own consciousness. I'm evolving. So here I have a definition, and I have actually an amazing scientific study that was done in Canada, and it's about rats. So if you don't like rats, you put another name in there. But they're God's creation too. Let's not forget that. So in Canada, they had these rats, and they wanted to test to see if they had empathy and compassion for one another. It's interesting. And they do. And here's the experiment for all the scientific people that require scientific laboratory facts. You know who you are. We got a great class on Thursday night. That's all I'm going to say. So in this study, some of the rats were caged and some were allowed to run free. They were basically free. They were in an enclosed area, but it was like a room. So they thought that they were free, and they were. But the free rats, they observed them for a month's time and found that they kept liberating the caged rats. They figured out how to open up the latch. Rats are very smart. They can. They opened the latch and they kept letting out for an entire month, the rats that were caged. And it was more than just curiosity as a motivation. They ruled that out, the scientists. What's more, the free rats would liberate the caged rats even when the trapped animals exited into a separate cage, which showed that the free rat wasn't simply seeking the reward of schmoozing with its friend. It was really doing an act of compassion. The free rats also freed the cage rats even when they had the option of bumping open an identical container, another cage, and obtaining 5 chocolate chips for themselves. So they had chocolate in one. I might have failed on this. Rats are more compassionate than me. I don't know. Just saying, I don't know. But anyway, so they had chocolate in one, and then they had the cage rats in the other. And it showed that the motivation to help was greater than their desire for a tasty treat. If that quality is innate in rats, then it must be innate in us as well. Truly, at the very deep core of our being, we might have it covered up or we might not have it covered up. We might know that we're compassionate beings, but we all are. And Ernest Holmes, founder of Science of Mind, religious science, wrote this in the Holmes Reader on practical wisdom. Compassion and caring are the ties that bind us together in mutual understanding and in the unified attempt to uncover the unity in each other. Compassion is the most gentle of all human virtues, for it is the outpouring of divine givingness through all. We know that the divine is always giving of itself. It's always creating more and giving more. That's why I say that, yeah, this enlightenment, yeah, I get deeper and deeper in my spiritual understanding, but there's so much more to become. There's so much more to expand on. I don't want to reach, and I don't think you can. You might think you can because the ego will tell you that. Oh, I've reached here, I'm enlightened. I don't have to do anything else, I'm enlightened. Well, for me, it's and that could be fine for that person. But for me, myself, I just know that the source of all good, God itself, is always giving of itself and always extending more and more into creation, never repeating itself. I would like to then follow that kind of model. So I feel that that's in tune with the divine energy. So we move on to the next, CPR. So P. The P of our CPR, is patience, by the way. Henry Drummond, in The Greatest Thing in the World, wrote, he commented on this beautiful passage from Corinthians that I know that all of us, probably most of us, have heard. And in fact, it's usually a reading in nearly all of my wedding ceremony. In fact, it is. I use it in all of them. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. Love is never boastful, nor conceited or rude. It is not self-seeking, nor easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongdoing. It does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. It always protects, trusts, honors, and perseveres. In a word, there are three things that last forever: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of them is love. Go and begin your married life together. That's usually how I end it. An exchange of rose in the rose ceremony. But anyway, so what Drummond did is he took Corinthians and then he explained it this way. Love is patient. This is the normal attitude of love. Love passive, love waiting to begin, not in a hurry, calm, ready to do its work when the summons comes, but meanwhile wearing the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit. Love suffers long, beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things. For love understands and therefore waits. Opening the fountainhead occurs when we call on love, which is patiently waiting. It is always available within us. It is always there. Just to know that is so comforting. It is always there, patiently waiting for us to acknowledge that indwelling love. We call on love by realizing and revealing the presence of the divine, of God in this present moment. God is present here and now in everything I say, think, and do. You go through the day and always reconnecting. Always reconnecting. That's the prayer without ceasing. To pray without ceasing is to continuously bring in the divine in every situation. Because with the divine is love. God is love. God is love. Period. But oh, how impatient we can be. Something I'm working on. Waiting for a computer to turn on. Waiting for a light to change when you're in a hurry. Waiting for our partners to be ready at a certain time. Waiting for, this is the one, waiting for our spiritual growth to occur. But I mean, I've had people in foundation class that are like, well, I want to learn this all now. I want to know it all now. And I said, fine, that's great. Hold that intention. But it is a process that we patiently turn within, And we do this to make the world a better place, to be patient, to have that patience. How impatient we can be. I'll speak for myself. How impatient I can be at times. And it's crazy, because then I have to stop and laugh. Like, really? Like, you really going to go any faster? The computer's going to come on any faster than that? No. The light's not going to change any faster than that. So Dennis Merritt Jones writes this also. Patience is the ability to breathe and be with what is in the moment. Trusting that as we continue to mindfully mend our own hearts one day at a time, the collective heart of humanity is also mending. The practice is to be patient with ourselves and all others, remembering that it can take time to mend a broken heart, especially one that belongs to 7 billion human beings. Are we not mending? We work on ourselves, but when we think about this planet and what is taking place, it can break your heart. It can truly break your heart. And we're all part of the humanity, we're all human beings. And to hold that compassion, that patience, that love for our planet and for all the people in so many different situations where they can't even sit in a place like this and celebrate life because they're in so much agony, pain, and torture. This is the patience and the compassion that we hold in our heart. And then we move on to CPR, reverence. To practice reverence is to look past the form and see the sacred presence of God in, as, and through all things. That is a spiritual practice and in and of itself. No matter what is going on, to see past that and know that there is a lesson to be learned, there is a presence for good that is always operating for each and every one of us. To really know that. To practice reverence is to remember that there really is only one of us here. There is only one. As we shed these bodies, the essence of who we are is all connected. It's all connected now, but we see form. We see these bodies, we see those chairs, but we're all energy. So we're all connected. There's one power, one source, one supply, and Bob Marley said it so well, one love, truly. Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes writes, God in me is unified with God in all. If I am one with all people, with all things, and with all life, as I listen in the silence, the voice of all humanity speaks to me and answers the love that I hold out to it. I am one with life. I wait in the silence while the Great Spirit bears the message to the whole world. We don't open the fountainhead by forcing something. Sometimes we try to do that by forcing something or someone, even ourselves. That patience truly is a virtue of taking a breath, letting it be, being with what is, and then moving forward. Loving what is. We open the fountainheads when we hold for ourselves and others the same awe and appreciation that we hold every time we see a mountain, when we go to the ocean and see this gorgeous creation the divine has created. Oceans and skies and mountains and sand, all of these things, to hold that same awe and appreciation for who we are. Do we hold it for ourselves? We're out in nature and we just feel this oneness, this connection, but can we feel it all the time or most of the time with ourselves? So in the magazine article, Jones wrote, "Contained within the wisdom of this awareness lies the potential for the healing of the heart of humanity. How could we possibly conspire to do harm to another when we see ourselves and the living presence of the divine in that person? How can we truly do harm when we become aware that we are all connected? How could we then consciously and deliberately try to hurt another person?" Gotta have compassion, because it takes place. So here's a real brief example of someone combining compassion, patience, and reverence to let love shine forth from him. And this is a letter from a prison inmate. His name is Leo Wright. One of my mentors, Reverend Michelle Whittington, I've mentioned her name a few times, her husband has a prison ministry. So this is a letter that he received, that he wrote, Leo wrote to Lonnie Whittington. His name is Lonnie. He wrote, "I am going to tell you something that I want you to always remember. I'm going to make you very proud of me." Remember, he's in prison. "I'm going to make you very proud of me. Somehow I am going to reach the hearts of every inmate in this place. At least I'm going to die trying. Like Martin Luther King Jr., this is my dream. Though Dr. King phrased it in his famous speech as a dream, he was really promoting leaving a better world in which everyone was equal and free. How was he able to do this? Simply put, he saw, felt, heard, smelled, and lived and breathed a different reality in his mind than most other people at that time. The power of his vision convinced millions of the justness of his cause. So on that same note, I see, feel, hear, smell, breathe a different reality in my mind for the people that society has regarded as unchangeable. Please don't get me wrong. I did understand that society is not to blame. Most of us made the choice not to choose love over fear. But like I said to you before, I would like to apply for the job of showing these guys that love is the way to freedom." This is his letter. Leo had decided to do this by becoming a New Thought minister while he served out the remaining years of his sentence, so that he could bring his dream into manifestation while it looked like he couldn't do anything because he was locked up in a prison. He still had choice. How might we be like Leo then, giving compassion, patience, and reverence to the world? And if we're like this, if we do that CPR, that spiritual CPR, we open up a fountainhead of that indwelling love within us. We open it up. We are always at choice to do something that is compassionate, patient, and with reverence. And then we let love's mighty currents flow forth, and they affect everyone around us, because as we say, we are all energy. And so if the energy that we are extending to everyone is love, is compassion, it's going to change the energy in the field that we're in, whatever group of people we're in, or even with ourselves. And so I'm going to end this talk with this poem, and it will help us in letting love shine forth, which is the name of the talk today. And this poem is by Ken Wilber. He writes, "As Plotinus knew..." Plotinus. Okay. The guy that lived in the ancient times, as he knew. Let the world be quiet. Let the heavens and the earth and the seas be still. Let the world be waiting. Let the self-contradiction relax into empty ground of its own awareness, and let it there quietly die. See how spirit pours through each and every opening in the turmoil and bestows new splendor on the setting sun and its glorious earth and all its radiant inhabitants. See the cosmos dance in the universe. See the play of light in all creatures, great and small. See the finite worlds sing and rejoice in the play of the very divine, floating on a glory that renders each transparent, flooded by a joy that refuses time or terror, that undoes the madness of the loveless self and buries it in splendor. Indeed, indeed, let the great contraction relax into the empty ground of its own awareness, and let it there quietly die. See the cosmos arise in its place, dancing madly and divine, self-luminous and self-liberated, intoxicated by a light that never dawns nor ceases. Let the ecstasy overflow and outshine the loveless self, and sing triumphantly with St. Catherine, my being is God, not by simple participation, but by a true transformation of my being. My me is God. And let the joy sing with Dame Julian. See, I am God. I see. I am in all things. I see. I do all things. And let the joy shout with the Zen master. This very body is the body of Buddha, and this very land the pure land. And this earth becomes a blessed being. And every I becomes a God. And every we becomes God's sincerest worship. And every it becomes God's most gracious temple. And I raise to taste the dawn and find that love alone will shine today. And the shining says to love it all, and love it madly, and always endlessly, and ever fiercely, to love without choice, and thus enter the all, to love it mindlessly, and thus be the all, embracing the only and radiant divine, now as emptiness, now as form, together and forever, the godless search undone, and love alone will shine today. So I invite all of us to let that indwelling love shine. Let it shine forth. Let it radiate. Let it touch everyone you come in contact with. Feel it, because giving it away brings more to you. And the divine law of circulation, the more we give, the more we receive. So I'm inviting all of us to give that love away, however we can, in whatever way we can, because you will be rewarded with so much self-love and so much love from all of humanity, really. Because this is how we heal our planet, through love, only love, and so it is.